Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty wild. We're unpacking some truly fascinating insights from top medical and fitness pros. And honestly, it looks like the traditional, totally accepted advice we've all heard about aging and exercise, well, it might actually be completely backwards. Seriously. So if you're over 40, and especially if you've hit that fabulous 60 mark, you're going to want to pay super close attention to the clinical data we're looking at today.
All right, let's just jump right in with a pretty provocative question. Is your daily walk actually destroying your joints? I know, it sounds crazy because it challenges this deeply ingrained belief we pretty much all share. For years, the main medical and public health message has been to just get your 10,000 steps a day. We've treated it like the ultimate flawless exercise, right? Especially as we get older. We've been told it protects our heart and keeps us mobile for life. But you guys, the clinical evidence is starting to tell a totally different and honestly a pretty startling story.
So you might be wondering, if walking isn't perfect, why is that narrative so incredibly dominant everywhere we look? Well, the answer is $300 billion. Yep, that's with a B. That's the annual value of the massive global industry that basically props up this walking as a cure-all idea. We're talking about shoe manufacturers, the tech companies making those activity trackers on your wrist, and big pharma. Basically, every single time we buy into the idea that just walking is enough to keep us healthy, this whole ecosystem is cashing in big time.
But let's look at the actual clinical reality here, because it's kind of shocking. Surgeon Dr. Michael Kent pulled data from over 12,000 surgical patients. And the evidence? It literally shows that older adults who stick to these daily walking routines, yeah, even those religiously hitting 10,000 steps, are showing up in clinics with fractured knee joints and severe cartilage breakdown. It's not pretty. In a lot of these cases, patients are dealing with bone-on-bone friction. It's basically like rubbing sandpaper together. So walking, purely by itself, is actually causing a lot of wear and tear rather than protecting those joints.
Okay, moving on to Section 1, Surgeon-Approved Strength Builders, specifically the upper body solution. So let's pivot away from the fit and damage of just walking and talk about what actually works to rebuild your strength. And the American College of Sports Medicine found a massive difference here. Check this out. Adults over 60 who started doing modified wall push-ups saw a 34% gain in functional strength in just 8 weeks. Now compare that to the group that only walked. They saw a tiny 7% improvement. You see, walking basically just works the lower body, which leaves your upper body to progressively get weaker as the years go by. But targeted resistance training? That actually rebuilds your everyday capacity.
Let's actually break down the exact technique for this, because the wall push-up is wildly undervalued. It's so simple, and honestly, that's exactly why it's so powerful. Here's how you do it. First, just stand about an arm's length away from a wall. Easy enough. Second, place your palms flat against the wall, right at shoulder height, spaced about shoulder width apart. Third, gently lean your body forward until your nose gets close to the wall. And finally, push yourself back to the starting position. Make sure you keep your body straight and engage that core. This whole setup basically eliminates your risk of injury because you're controlling gravity, all while safely working your chest, your shoulders, triceps, and your core.
To bring this clinical data down to earth a bit, let's talk about Margaret. She's a 68-year-old retired educator, and she'd actually completely lost the hand and upper body strength to do something as simple as opening a pickle jar. So frustrating, right? But she started doing these daily wall push-ups, and get this, within just 1 month, she was opening those jars easily. No problem. And that's the thing, upper body strength isn't just about muscles. It directly ties into your ability to catch yourself if you trip, or push yourself up out of a deep chair, or even just carry your groceries without pulling something. And the perks go way beyond the pickle jars. Research from the Cleveland Clinic is super clear on this. Keeping that upper body strong with wall push-ups actually slashes your risk of rotator cuff injuries by 41%. Plus, it boosts the bone mineral density in your arms and shoulders by almost 3% over 6 months. That is huge. Basically, this kind of targeted resistance training acts like an absolute shield against osteoporosis and those annoying age-related injuries that so often start a whole downward spiral of mobility issues. All right, on to Section 2, Mastering Everyday Movement. Let's talk about the lower body anchor. So, we've got the upper body covered. Now, let's look at what is arguably the absolute most functional lower body exercise recommended for anyone over 60, the chair squat. 43%. That's not just a random number. That is the massive improvement in sit-to-stand time for older adults who do chair squats regularly. This is according to a huge study in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity. It's so effective that medical centers all over Japan are literally using this one basic movement to help elderly patients get their leg strength back after surgery, and they're doing it 40% faster than traditional rehab. Pretty incredible, right?
Now, the key takeaway here is that chair squats aren't just about building strong legs. I mean, they do, but they also fire up your entire posterior chain. We're talking glutes, hamstrings, lower back, the whole shebang. They also actively train your balance and proprioception, which is basically just a fancy word for your body knowing where it is in space. But here's the absolute best part. Doing these regularly drops your risk of a mobility disability by a whopping 38% over 2 years. Because think about it, this is a movement you literally do dozens of times a day anyway. It completely anchors your physical independence for the long haul.
Next up is Section 3, the midlife pivot. We really need to talk about escaping the overtraining trap.
So if we want to build this strength effectively, especially after hitting 40, we really need to listen to fitness expert Philip Blackett. Look, there's this really outdated, kind of dangerous mindset out there about how hard we should be working out in midlife. It's called overtraining. Basically, it's this super counterproductive habit of working out way too hard, way too often, all while not eating enough to fuel it. And the result? Just pure exhaustion and totally degraded physical health. Once you're over 40, that whole eat less, train more thing, yeah, it's a massive mistake. Thinking you have to literally destroy yourself in the gym to see progress is actually doing you more harm than good.
I really want you to let this quote from Philip Blackett just kind of sink in for a second. He says, "Recovery is not laziness. Recovery is part of the program. Recovery is not weakness." I love that. It's such a vital paradigm shift. We have got to stop thinking of recovery as just this passive afterthought, like, oh, I'm only resting because I'm tired. No, we need to reframe it into being a proactive, strategic pillar of how we stay fit as adults.
Which brings us to Section 4, the Recovery Blueprint. Let's go through the 5 steps to sustainable fitness. All right, so here are the exact, absolute, non-negotiable protocols you need to repair your body and start training a bit smarter. Step 1, you've got to temporarily reduce your intensity. Give yourself fewer high-intensity days, maybe lift some lighter weights, just give your body a little breathing room. Step 2, prioritize your sleep. Deep sleep is literally when the magic happens. It's when your muscles repair and your hormones get back into balance. Step 3, dial in that recovery nutrition. Focus on getting enough protein and whole foods instead of starving yourself. Step 4, mix in some active recovery. Swap out a heavy gym session for some mobility work, maybe stretching, breath work, a light walk, or even hit the sauna. It does wonders for calming your nervous system. And finally, Step 5, train smarter. It's all about consistency and intelligent programming rather than absolutely wiping yourself out every single time you put on your sneakers.
So let's wrap this up with a thought I really want you to chew on. Are you building a body just to survive today's workout? Or are you building one to thrive for decades? Based on the clinical data we've walked through today, the answer is pretty clear. Just blindly following that old 10,000 step myth might literally be grinding your joints down, and blowing past your recovery is absolutely a fast track to burnout. Your goal right now, especially in your 40s, 50s, and well into your 60s, isn't to prove how hard you can push yourself. It's to embrace really smart, functional training. Things like those wall push-ups and chair squats, backed up by a rock-solid recovery plan. Honestly, that is the secret to building a body that stays strong and independent for a lifetime. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this gives you a whole new perspective on your physical health.